So again, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. Tanu Rabbanan Minayin Nitanen al Mizbeach Achitzon. How do we know that the bloods that are put on the Mizbeach Achitzon, shenosnan b'matana achas, that if you put it with one placement instead of 2, shekiper. Talmud Leimer v'dam zvachecha yishafech. The blood of your carbon you pour, implying that with one pour it's enough. Says the Gemara, is that available for this drasha? But we need the pasuk of Adam Zvachecha Yeshavach L'Sanya Minayin L'Kol Adam She'Tu'unimatan Dam L'Yesayid. How do we know that the remnants, the residual blood, has to be poured to the base? Says the blood of your carbon you pour. So it's not extra to tell me that even though normally you need 2, 1 is enough. Says the Gemara, no. This rule that the remnant blood is poured to the side, nafkala le miderebi. That you learn out from Rebbe. The Tanya Rebbe Aimer, v'anisher badam yimotze. Now, after spraying, this pasuk is talking about the chatas ha'if. After spraying the blood of the chatas ha'if, the rest of the blood you press onto the base of onto the wall of the mizbeach. Now, it could have just said v'anisher yimotze. We know we're talking about the blood. Why does it have to say badam? Shein Talmud Leimer badam. Umat Talmud Leimer badam. Why does it say badam? Lefi shaloi lamanu elitonin matan dalid. We only learned that the remnant of the blood is poured to the base of the mizbeach by the chatas, which needs 4 placements on the 4 corners. Lefi shaloi lamanu elitonin matan dalid shetunin matan dam liyasayid, that the blood has to go to the base. How do we know shar damim minayin? How do we know other blood? Talmud Leimer, it says badam, which was extra, because it could have just said vanishter yimotei. The rest should be squeezed. So the word badam is extra. Limeid al kol adamim, that all blood should tu'unimat dam liyasayt. The blood is put to the base. Says the Gemara, but still dam zvachecha yishafech is not vacant to tell me that even 1 placement is enough. But v'akati lahachi udasa mebayalei l'kedisanya. We need it for that which is taught to us in a brisa. And I should welcome in, Mark just came in and Avi just came in. So I should tell you, we're holding by Vakate, which is 8 lines from the top of Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Vakati lahaki udasa, is dam zvachecha yishafech vacant? Mibayalei l'kedisanya, we need it for that which we learned in the brisa. Minayin l'nitonim bezrika shenostan b'shvicha yatza. How do we know that those things that are supposed to be thrown, if they're poured, that it's okay? The blood of your carbon could be poured. So you see, it's not extra to tell me that 1 placement is sufficient. Says the Gemara, well, the one that learns out 1 placement is sufficient from Dam Zvachecha Yeshafech, Savalak to Rabbi Akiva, he holds like Rabbi Akiva that says that when you need to throw the blood, you can pour it. When you need to pour the blood, you can throw it. Savalak Rabbi Akiva, the Amar Lav Zrika b'Klal Shvicha. Throwing is not included in pouring. V'lo Shvicha b'Klal Zrika. Where do we know this opinion of Rabbi Akiva? Ditnan. Now, on the night of Pesach, we bring usually 2 different karbanos. That's why it says we say ala Zevachim v'ala Psochim. Because remember we explained, Gedalia has a big Seder table, and he orders a carbon Pesach, but he has a lot of people with big appetites. and he's not going to have enough to fill up the bellies of all these people from the Korban Pesach, and the Korban Pesach has to be nechal ala seiva. So therefore, he also brings the Shalmei Chagiga, the Shlomim of the night, Shalmei Yudalid, and the Pesach has a bracha. We make a bracha, Shekichonu b'mitzvayis of Itzivanu ala chilas Pesach. Now, the Tanan, Beirach Birchas HaPesach, Potar Eshel Zevach. If you make the bracha on the Pesach, you exempt the Shlomim that was brought with it. Shel Zevach, when you make the bracha on the Shlomim, Loi Potar Es HaPesach. Div Rabbi Yishmael. That's skipping Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Kiva says no. Rabbi Kiva says, Loizu Paitrizu, Loizu Paitrizu. One doesn't exempt the other, because the blood of the Chagiga has to be thrown, needs Rika, and the blood of the Korban Pesach needs Shvicha. And Rabbi Kiva holds that when you do Zrika, you can't do Shvicha, and when you do Shvicha, you can't do Zricha. So therefore, he doesn't use Dam Zvachecha Yishafech to tell me that you have an option instead of throwing it to pour it. Therefore, Dam Zvachecha Yishafech is extra to tell me that even if you do one placement, it's enough. But the Gemara is persistent. I mean, really persistent. As the Gemara says, Hakati lahaki uda'asa? Is it coming to tell you that one placement is enough? It's needed for that which we learned in the Brisa. Rabbi Yishmael Omer mitoch shenemar ach b'char shar, oy b'char kesef, oy b'char eiz, the b'char of an ox, the b'char of a sheep, the b'char of a goat, that you put the blood on the mizbeach, and the fat is offered. In other words, the emurim are offered on the mizbeach. Now, lamadnu lebechar sheton matan damim ve'emurim legabe mizbeach. That tells you that the firstborn needs the blood to be put and the sacrificial portions to be put on the mizbeach. But how do you know this is true by Meiser Behema? Meiser Behema is that from our corral every year we pass the animals single file. The 10th animal we strike with red, and it's Meiser Behema. And how do we know Meiser and Pesach? Also, the blood needs to be applied and the sacrificial portions have to go up. So again, it's not extra to tell me that one placement is enough. Says, well, no. Savalak Rabbi Yisrael Galili. He holds like Rabbi Yisrael Galili. Rabbi Yisrael Galili doesn't learn it out from there. The Tanya, Rabbi Yisrael Galili, Aimer, Damai loy nemar, by Bechar, it doesn't say Damai, it says Damam, in the plural. Chel by loy nemar, it doesn't say fat, in the singular, ela chel bam. Limei, that reveals that not just Bechar, but al Bechar, Meiser, Pesach, Shetan, Matan, Dam, Veimun, Legabe Mizbeach. So again, therefore, we don't need Dam Zvachecha Yeshafech for that, and therefore it's extra to tell me that one application is enough. Says the Gemara, but wait a second. Rabbi Yishmael, Hai Krab Mapap Klei Lahachi? Is he teaching it? Rabbi Yishmael earlier said that we learn out from Dam Zvachecha Yeshafech that one placement is enough. And here Rabbi Yishmael says that you learn out from Dam Zvachecha Yeshafech that the blood of Meiser Behema and Pesach is offered on the Mizbeach. So how could he do both? Says the Gemara, Trei Tanai Ali Rabbi Yishmael. It's a taka two opinions as to what Rabbi Yishmael's opinion is. So the Gemara says, Bishleim el Rabbi Yishmael. It's good according to Rabbi Yishmael, who says that this pasuk of Bechar is talking about exclusively Bechar, and it's not talking about Meiser and Pesach. Hainu d'chsiv, that's why it says in the pasuk, uvesaram yiyalach, and the flesh should be yours, because since it's only talking about Bechar, so the flesh is the Kohanim's. El Rabbi Yosi demukalei nami b'meiser Pesach. What does he do with the uvesaram yiyalach? The basar of the Pesach and the basar of the Meiser Behema don't go to the Kayin. Meiser Pesach ba'olam achalei. It doesn't go to the Kayin. Mayu b'saram yiyalach, which means to the Kayin. He says no. The end of the pasuk where it says the plural of uvisaram, that's talking not referring to Meiser and Bechar. That's referring to different types of Bechar. A Bechar, whether it's Tomim, whether it's a Balmum, even a blemished Bechar is only eaten by the Kahanim. Echad Tom, Echad Balmum, whether it's a Tam, whether it's a Balmum, it's goes to the Kayin. Limeid al Bechar Balmum shenitein lekayin, which is given to the Kayin. Shaloi matzinu loy b'kol ha'Torah kula. We don't have any other source for this in the whole Torah. That a Bechar Balmum, its basar goes to the Kayin. Now, since we already turned the page, and I know that Mark is looking in stunned disbelief that it's 22 after 8, and we already turned the page. Ruvain says, what am I going to do with the rest of my night? I don't know. You'll have to eat potato chips. By the way, Rabbi, I did it already, but don't forget that we finished Menachos tonight and started Masechtas Chulin. Very exciting. We started Masechtas Chulin in the Mishnah Yomis.
I was off in my mouth, so I just covered the...
Well, you know something? I was Dan you the Kafschus. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I actually started Chulin with your name. So anyway, I should be a mensch and welcome in everybody. As we welcome in Saba, Dr. Guy, Yaakov Warman, Irving Fishbaum, Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Eddie Chazan. Again, Eddie is doing his hiding act. Rabbi Kranz, Yisrael Fisher, Shelley Zeitlin, Ruvain Palak, Baby Spry, Dr. Black, the one and only Barry Cement, Yitzi Fuchs, and what's his name? Marshall, Mark Frankel, Nachum Umansky, Yitzi Muller, Nachman Chapler, Barish Gesserman, Moshe Lehman, Richard Rosenzweig, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Ilya Shutman, Abe Arbach, and David Helfgott. And here in the shul, a wonderful crowd, as we have Gedalia Engel and Chaim Kramer and Michal Avram Chavin, Danny Vogel, Ruvain Shannon, Elia Yaffe, wonderful, absolutely incredible, and Hershel Wallner. As we now, Gemara continues, Rabbi Yishmael, how does he know that a Balmum also goes to the Kayin? He learns it out, Nafkelei min l'cha yiyeh d'seif, from the l'cha yiyeh at the end of the pasuk. Now, Bishleim Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Demukelei nami b'maiser Pesach, that he says that the pasuk that says Bechar Shar, Bechar Kesev, Bechar Eis, is talking also about Meiser and Pesach. Hainu d'chsiv lo yisi podeh, it shall not be redeemed. Kodesh Hain. Now Hain, Kodesh Hain tells me that only Hain Craven, only they could be offered. The Ein Tmurasan Kreva, but the Tmura of a Pesach or the Tmura of Meiser Behema cannot be offered. Didnan, Tmuras bechar or meiser, the exchange of bechar and meiser, hein, uvladan, their offspring, and vladan atzayv kol ha'olam, harihem ki bechar or meiser, they're like bechar and meiser in their kedushasan, but they can't be offered. Rather, you have to wait until they get a mum. V'yoichlu b'mum on l'baylam. And how do we know that? Because it says kodesh hein, and we say that the pasuk is also referring to Meiser and Pesach. Usnan Amrab Yeshua Shemati shetmuras Pesach kreva, utmuras Pesach en kreva. I have heard that the exchange of a Pesach sometimes is offered, and sometimes is not offered. Ve'enli lefarish. I don't know how to explain it. Now, that's a tangential thing, but since we're learning it, I'll explain it. The Tmura of a Pesach on the 14th of Nisan, that, if you make it say Zetach Hazeh, that Tmura cannot be offered. That's what we learn out. Kodesh Haim, and not their exchange. If you have a Korban Pesach that was left till after Pesach, oh, what did we say? A Pesach after Pesach, what is it? A Shlomim. Oh, a Tmura Shlomim can be offered on the Mizbeach. So that's Pshat. I heard that Tmura's Pesach Kreva, that's a Pesach that was left till after Pesach. So that's a Tmura Shlomim. That could be offered up. Tmura's Pesach and Kreva, and a Tmura's Pesach can't be offered. That's a Tmura of a Pesach before Pesach. Because that the pasuk says kodesh haim and not their exchange. El Rabbi Yishmael the mukalei kulei bebechar, but Rabbi Yishmael that says that the pasuk is not talking about Meiser and Pesach; it's only talking about bechar. So Meiser or Pesach the loy kreva tmurasan minole. So the Gemara says we take a note from other sources. Meiser gamar avara mibechar. Ma'isa, we learn out Gzeir Shava Avara from Bechar. Pesach, that its exchange cannot be offered because Behed Yiksibe, it says in the Parsha, Kesev, Ma Talmud Loimer, Im Kesev, L'Rabbis, Im Kesev comes to include Tmuras Achara Pesach, Tmuras Pesach Achara Pesach. Like I explained, if you have a Pesach that's left over after Pesach, it's brought as a Shlomim. So a Tmura of a Shlamim can be offered. Tmura Pesach Achar Pesach Shetikar of Shlamim. It's offered up as a Shlamim. Yochel Aflif Nea Pesach Kain. I might think that even before Pesach, if you make an exchange of a carbon that's to be brought as a Pesach, that it could be offered up. Talmud Loimer who it and not its exchange. The problem is that one application of blood is enough, even though it's called for shnayim, two. If you learn dam zvachecha yishafech is vacant, so then we could learn it out from dam zvachecha yishafech. But the kol anoch the tanoi, the mapkele lahai dam zvachecha yishafech ledrasha achrina. But those that learn dam zvachecha yishafech to tell me that you spill the remnants to the base. Right? Or any of the other drashas that we use dam zvachecha yishafech for. Hai kol anitonim al mizbeach achitzayin. That which we said, that anything that's put on the outer altar, she nosnan matana achas, that even though you should have put shtayim shem arba, that if you make one placement, shekiper, that it atones minalu. Says the Gemara, savrlu kebeis Hillel. They hold like Beis Hillel. The imrei af chatas shenitna matana achas keeper. Even though the chatas normally needs 4 placements on the 4 kranais, Beis Hillel says that even by chatas 1 placement is enough. Now he's going to learn that out from somewhere else. V'alfinon kulu mechatas, and we'll learn it out all from chatas. I mean, if the chatas, which usually needs 4, is good enough with 1, then the other carbonates where it's usually good enough with 2, surely it's good if it's 1. So now we're going to have to see where Beis Hillel knows this about a chatas. So now the Gemara says, sorry, Mark is telling me, slow down, it's too fast. Slow down. Mark, it's not lost by me that your attendance has been astoundingly good. It's a pleasure to have you. Not only that, but you're looking awake. You notice I said Mark is looking away. He didn't even bat an eyelash, Marshall. He's too tired. Listen, when you're working under a car the whole day, it's not easy. Now, Beis Shammai says that a chatas that needs under 4 kronos, you can't get away with one. You need to do a minimum of 2. The chatas shtei matanas. Amar Rav Huna, my time at the Beis Shammai. So Beis Shammai says that the pasuk says kronoi. Well, actually, it says karnois, right? That's the lashon of the pasuk. Yeah, it says, but it's written full. So karnois. So that's, each one is plural. So that's a total of 6. Harikan sheish. So it tells me arba mitzvah, 4 if you do it correctly, ushtayim la'akiv, and 2 are indispensable. So that's a very simple drasha. The plural, karnois, each one mi'at rabim mishnayim, 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, 4 is l'chatchila, 2 is b'diavad. So he says you need a minimum of 2. Beis Hillel says, actually, the way it's read. Now, remember, the question is, do we go according to the way it's spelled, or do we go according to the way it's read? Yesh aim lemikra or yesh aim lemesiris? So Beis Hillel, 2 of them are read karnas, that's singular, and 1 is karnos. So that's a total of 4. If you go according to the mikra, the way it's read, it's a total of 4. So harikan arba, that's 4. No, I'm sorry. This is yesh aim lemesiris, because 2 of them are written without a vav, so that's singular, and 1 of them is written with a vav, which is plural. So that gives you a total of 4. Harikan arba. So Beis Hillel says of the 4, it's 4 lechatchila, and 1 is indispensable. Harikan arba, that's 4. Shalosh lemitzvah, 3 are to do it in the preferable way. V'achas la'akev, and 1 is indispensable. Says the Gemara, wait a second. If you only have 4, maybe 4 is preferable, and you could do with nothing b'diavad. Ve'ima kuluhu lemitzvah, because if it would say 5, so then you'll say 4 is the best thing, and 1 is b'diavad. But now that it only says 4, say that 4 is the best way, and nothing is okay. Ve'ima kuluhu lemitzvah. So the Gemara says, no, that can't be, because kapara bichti loy ashkechan. You don't get a kapara without doing anything. So you have to at least do 1. However, the Gemara says there's another way to look at Beis Hillel. The Iba is saying, Mahainu time at Beis Hillel. Ahani mikra, mahani masayras. It helps the way it's read, and it helps the way it's written. Now, the way it's read gives me 6. Because chronos gives me 6. 2, 4, 6. The way it's read gives me 4. When you have one way implying 6 and the other way implying 4, we strike a balance and make it 5. And therefore, 4 is a mitzvah, and 1 is a must. Ani mikra l'tfuye chada. One part adds 1. The 6 adds 1. V'hani Messiris l'betzurei chada. In other words, the Messiris tells me 4. The mikra tells me 6. So we strike a compromise and make it 5. Says, well, if you're going to do it that way, you're going to have trouble with tefillin. Because by tefillin, it says l'toitafos, l'toitafos, l'toitafos 3 times. So that's 3 plurals, that's 6. The way it's written is l'toitafos, l'toitafos, 2 without the vavs, that's singular, and 1 full. So that's 4. So if you use that logic, then you should have 5 parshiyos in the tefillin of the head, not 4. Elamiata l'toitafos, 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 harikan arba. Why do we say that it's 4? According to your logic that we strike a compromise between the mikra and the Messiris, ahani krav, ahani Messiris, so the way it's read is 3 plurals, that's 6. The way it's written is 2 singular and 1 plural, that's 4. Then we should have 5 parshiyos. You should make 5 compartments. We know there are only 4 compartments. He says that's a different reason. That's because the etymology of toitafos, Rashi explains from this Gemara, the Gemara Menachos, that toit bekafte ishtayim, toit in the language of Coptic, the Coptic language is 2, and feis ba'afriki ishtayim, and 2 in African, feis means 2, and that's how we know 4, by putting together toit and feis. And by the way, this is the perfect parasha for this, because the Gemara says that originally the world was Lashon Kodesh, and then at the Migdal Bavel, Hashem confused it and introduced all the languages, and in all the languages there's from the etymology of the Torah. So toitafos, toit in Coptic is 2, and feis in African is 2. By the way, I just want to tell you that the Meiri, in his Sefer Amidos, it's really a wonderful Sefer to get. You know, the Meiri was not around at the time of the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch might have looked different if the Meiri was around, but the Meiri was buried. That's what Hashem wanted. It was unearthed after the Shulchan Aruch was written. But the Meiri is a wellspring of knowledge from one of the great Rishonim. Now he wrote something called Sefer Hamidos LaMiri. It's a separate Sefer. And I have to confess that even in the Baidim, even in the crawl space where I have 40 boxes of Svarim, I don't have a Miri. I should. It's missing in my library. A Miri is... So the Miri writes, why in the tefillin of the hand is there only one bias, one compartment, and in the tefillin of the head is 4 compartments. They both have the same contents. So he says, because when we put on tefillin, we're being mishabed our senses to Hashem. And the hand has 1 sense, the sense of touch. And the tefillin of the head have 4 senses. The sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of hearing, and sight.
What hand has?
Touch. So anyway, the Gemara says, okay, but what about sukkahs? What are we going to do with sukkahs? Elameata basukais, basukais, basukais. Now we know that the halacha is that a sukkah is kosher with 2 walls and a tefach. Really, it should need 3 walls. Halacha Moshe Sinai says that the 3rd wall is enough for tefach. But it's a problem using this methodology of Beis Hillel, Halabiata, basukais, basukais, basukais. So the way it's written, the way it's read, I mean, is 3 plurals. Sukkais, sukkais, sukkais. That's 6. The way it's written is 2 singular and 1 plural. It's 4. So then you should need 5 walls. Ahani krav, ahani masayris, kamsha defamta boilam evad. You should need 5 walls. Says the Gemara, no. Hasam, over there, of the three sukkahs, Hasam, dal chad legufei. We say it should be 5. I'm being gyrus over here a certain way. Hasam dal chad legufei. Of the 5, subtract 1 to tell me the mitzvah that you have to sit in the sukkah. So now you have left 4. But also v'chad l'schacha, 1 is telling me the covering, the schach. So now you have 3. So asay hilchasa, and the halach l'Moshe Sinai comes ugarata l'shlishis v'ukimta tefach, and said that the 3rd wall it's enough, only a tefach. Says the Gemara, and I think I'm going to go a little bit more because otherwise Mark is going to get hysterical. It's only 20 to 9. What's he going to do the rest of the night? Mark, you play Sudoku?
He's already hysterical.
I was getting careful with Sudoku.
Mark plays tiddlywinks.
Okay, he doesn't even know what that means. Huh?
Connect 4.
Connect 4? No, he plays a mean game of chess.
My grandson tried to teach me. It was a disaster, Rabbi.
It seemed there could be like an alternate answer here. They didn't even seem to
Checkers.
address. That maybe 4 and 6 are simultaneously occurring and act as parameters of where you should be within. There's a laxity, either a higher or lower.
It has to be consistent with the other ways of drasha. It's the same system that works by everything.
I see the logic of what they were saying.
Yeah.
You blend the two together. I'm saying, can't there sometimes be parameters?
Well,
that set
again, it's like I tell Rabbi Kranz, if you're answering something, it's good. If you're asking something, so you're wrong.
Okay, you can't question.
Yeah, you're wrong. So
Okay, thank you, Ray. I'm learning, so I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, thank you.
Well, if you're online with Rabbi Kranz, you're in good shape. So now we're going to turn to a woman that gives birth. If she gives birth to a female, so we know that there's dam tomei and dam tor. The first 2 weeks, her dam is tomei, and the pasuk says, "V'toma shvu'ayim." She's tomei for 2 weeks. Now, the problem is that if you're going to strike a compromise between the way it's written and the way it's read, so shvu'ayim is 2 weeks. But the way it's written, it would be shivim, 70. So what's the difference between 70 and 14? Well, if you deduct from 14 from 70, you get 56. Half of 56 is 28. So using this system, we would add 28 to 14, and what would we have? We would have 42. So then she should be tummy for 42 days. using this system. Elamiata v'tomer shvuayim, it's the mikra is shvuayim, 2 weeks, but the way it's written is shivim. We should say ahani krov, ahani masayrus, and we should strike the compromise between 70 and 14, which would be 42. And then our bom was srein ba'elamisa. She should have to be tamei for 42 days. Ba'elamisa mean separate from her husband. Adam should be tamei. Says the Gemara Shani Hasam, it's different over there. Dichsiv kinidasa. Now kinidasa, she's a nida for a week. So 2 weeks is similar to her nidas. 42 days would not be similar to the nidas, and therefore that's why we don't use the system over here. It's also possible, I didn't see anybody say it, but it was also possible that we learned kinidasa, when she's a nida, she's generally forbidden to her husband for 2 weeks. But that's not biblical. Okay, that's probably why they don't learn that way.
No, but the Yud-Gilamidas, does it have to be a Kabbalah for that, the Yud-Gilamidas?
They're not consistent, because a kal v'chomer we could make me'atzma.
I would have said Davar Lemon Minyana. You've got 1 week and 33 days, then you've got 66 days, and you don't know what that word is. That word must be 14, because it's double. Just like the woman, the woman is double, the girl is double. In the big number, it should be double in the small number.
Yeah, that's a good svara. It's a good svara. If it wouldn't say knidas, I would say you're right. I think knidas is better. Okay, Rabbi Say, it's, we're having so much fun, we would want to go further, but we can't do that, because then we're going to jip them out for tomorrow night, Itchy, it's really good to see you. Itchy, did I mention to you that you're looking younger?